Hello and welcome to another episode of the Complete Agent Podcast, where each week we get together to talk all things estate agents. My name is David Warburton. Almost forgot my name then. As ever, I am joined by my colleagues in the industry, all-round legends, James Kendall and Ian Storey, back from his 15th holiday of the year. Although having said that, you were here last week. I wasn't. Yeah, I know. And also joined by an incredibly special guest, one that everybody knows, legend in the industry, Mr. Simon Gates. How you doing, pal?
Very good, thank you, mate. Bloody good introduction. A lot better than the last one that was done.
What was the last one? What was the last one? Can't remember it.
I did it.
Ian's story, forgetting how to talk.
Oh,
basically.
God, that was painful. I must admit, I was listening to that as I was on my morning run. And it was the worst intro I've heard in a long, long time. Really bad.
Like a man while he's down.
Yeah, I felt for him. I felt like he needed to go for a sleep after doing the intro. But it was bad. It was bad. Anyway, lads, let's start off as we usually do. How has your week been? Just because you've put some porridge in your mouth, Ian, I'll ask you, JK.
How's the week been? Yeah, good. We've got plenty of listings coming on. Lots being sorted for September launches at the moment. Really good on market fees, getting some really strong fees and some really good listings at the moment around, anywhere from kind of 550 all the way up to 1.75. Working on a couple of other listings that are on the market as well. Prospecting has gone into overdrive in the last 3 months. We've really been hammering the TCA on market letters and the buyer letters as well recently. Really just sort of a three-pronged attack. Obviously, quarterly market updates have literally just about to go out in the post. The on-market letters are going out every sort of 6 to 8 weeks, obviously HPI dependent. But then we're also doing the buyer letters for different buyers. We're finding at the moment that, and I suppose a lot of people are, that I'm speaking to other agents, TCA members in the industry, that obviously there aren't as many buyers as there are. There are more houses for sale than there are buyers, but so it's really important to work the buyers that you're dealing with. Had an inquiry on Instagram yesterday from someone that has sold, can't find anything to buy in a specific area, just getting frustrated. And I said, well, look, what we can do, I know we're not your agent, but we can do a buyer campaign letter for you. So got a meeting with them later on today to talk them through how that works, and we'll send some buyer letters out for them as well. So all in all, it's been really busy. I mean, we've got quite a few on the board this month. We've had an incredible month of sales. I think we've 15 agreed altogether, but it's gone really, really well. But it doesn't actually feel that busy, which sounds quite strange. Maybe we can talk about that later in the pod. But yeah, good. How about you, Ian?
Good morning, gentlemen. Well, we've had a good week on sales. We've agreed 5 since the last podcast recording. Ranging from 450 to 1.28, 70 grand-ish in fees into the pipeline from that lot. So that's good. Good week, really, given it's summer holidays. New listings a little bit light, but I'm not overly bothered because I know they'll come, and I've really had a focus on pricing and trying to get some stuff sold and bring it on at the right price. So put a message in our Complete Agent group this morning, didn't I, about 3 examples where prices needed amending, realigning. 2 of those have gone very well with clients, and then other ones that are coming on. Example of one would be, I went to one where it's probably 1.4, maybe a bit more. It's a very unique house, but really, really lovely. Other agent had said 1.6, 1.7, which is just too much. So they agreed to come on with us originally at 1.5, then 1.4. I said, look, I think you really should come on at 1.4. And then this week I've actually got them to come on at offers of 1.35, just by letting them know how competitive things are. And really stuff is selling, but it is stuff that's competitively priced, that is moving. It's a development for them, so they need to move it on and go on to the next one. So they've agreed to come on at that. So I've been quite successful with pricing conversations in the last week or 2 or 3. So overall good. We've sort of we're still hit our target for the year already. We've done over half of our target for the year already, and it's only the end of July. Pipeline's great. Pipeline's really good. It's just challenging, isn't it? It's more challenging getting stuff sold. I know we're all experiencing that. So while the pipeline's good, there's a lot more on the market. So there's a lot of vendor management, but we're still not no one's leaving us. All the clients are sticking with us because of how we manage them which is my only concern. If I've got any concern, really, that's it. It's just managing clients to make sure they don't leave, make sure they don't move agents, which 99.9% of them do not. Good personal win for the team last week was we had our 24-hour paddle-a-thon, which Aidan arranged. I had nothing to do with that. Pretty much nothing to do with that at all. Aidan arranged it all. The team did it all, really. 5 of them were there for 24 hours, and they've raised over £2,500 for cardiac risk in the young, which is just amazing. They had 24 teams playing, 1 hour for 24 hours. Talk about local community stuff. I mean, unbelievable response from the local community. It got us, we've donated a really good amount of money to a well-regarded local charity, and obviously it's promoted the shit out of us in the local area as well. So double whammy there. So I'm really proud of them all. I actually worked out that they've definitely saved 1 human life by doing what they did, and we all got a bit emotional really when I told everyone. But I spoke to the lady from the charity last Sunday morning as it was finishing. I said, how many kids do you screen, or young adults do you screen? How many of those young adults that you screen go on to have a problem? And basically we worked it out that by doing what they did, they've definitely saved 1 person's life, which is amazing. So that was really good. So culture in the company, team, all that sort of stuff is absolutely brilliant. So, good really overall. Could do with a holiday though.
It's been 2 weeks.
That's amazing. That well done to the team.
How's your week been, Simon Gates?
Well, I'd like to think I haven't helped any charitable causes this week, like your guys.
You son of a bitch.
I know, but I did have several pints and at the pub, and the pub trade is, in dire straits. Like, pubs closing every day, so trying to do my bit there. I also
are they alcohol-free beers?
No.
Oh,
me making no apology for it either.
No. I stopped drinking for a year, as many people will know, and it drove me to drink. Basically,
now you've made up for it.
Yeah, I've definitely made up for it.
Support your local.
Well, it was a pub in London that charging like £7.50, £8 a pint, so definitely not supporting local. And then I had a tax bill to pay as well, so supporting HMRC. Gotta love those fuckers. So that's kind of my financial contribution. It's quite ironic. When I was in the pub, it was a business meeting on Tuesday afternoon, and I was asked, "How?"
Simon,
yeah.
Can I just say, mate? Like, I know Ian says he saved a life. You've just saved somebody from working by paying that tax bill. Well done.
Yeah,
there we go. So the ironic thing on Tuesday in the pub at 3-4 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, and I was asked, "How is everything?" I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so busy." I was like, "That's a piss take saying that as we're having a pint at 3:30 on a Tuesday afternoon," but it was a business meeting. And then very busy time of the month for me, because I'll be doing my July market update. I'll be writing that in the next 24 hours. So lots of stuff to go on there. And I really, really enjoyed that. I've already ticked something off my Complete Agent podcast bingo sheet because Ian went unbelievable. So I've already got that ticked off. So I've already won today, guys.
How about you, David?
Yeah.
For those of you that can't hear, David is, if you can imagine Dennis Waterman on Little Britain, he is sat on a really big chair away from his microphone.
I'm not away from my microphone. My microphone is fine, and everyone can hear me fine. I think it's just you guys that probably think it's a bit quieter when it comes to on the podcast. Or I can give it the Dom Jolly. All right. It's been a good month, to be honest. Like you said, JK, I think we're feeling the same. Like it doesn't... Well, it's certainly not been as busy in terms of valuations. I think we've done like 25 valuations this month, which is not bad. Don't get me wrong, because we, as you know, like smaller numbers, smaller quantity. Certainly until I get my new person in, who starts in September, which is great. But normally we're like probably 35, 40. So we're a little bit down on valuations. Sales really good, so it's been a good month. Couple of fallers that are really frustrating. One in particular yesterday, we're about 2 weeks away from completion and they'd flipped to another house, which is really annoying. We'll resell it actually because we had another buyer on it, but it's still annoying, isn't it? It just resets. But overall, yeah, good. I mean, our main problem has been a good one that we've not been able to get people in quick enough in a way. I couldn't, we were taking valuation requests for week beginning, I think the 18th of August, something like that. I'm going on holiday on Saturday for a couple of weeks, and my diary is full for when I get back. So it's been crazy busy in that respect. And I think that's come as well. We've spoken about this quite a lot, but having the consistency with our marketing, you never stop when you're busy. Your lead generation tactics, we're talking about the letters. So we've actually, if anything, upped ours now. We're at, when I did the count the other day, we're at 9,000. So we're now doing 9,000 a quarter. And we've purposely just held off a couple of weeks because I know when we send them, we start to get good responses, and we actually probably couldn't cope right now, strangely, but we have to get them out. They have to go out every quarter because you've got to keep that consistency up. I went to an old boy the other week, and he's got a really lovely barn conversion in. You'd have loved it. A couple of acres, gets the letters every quarter. He was actually asking when the next one was coming out, and he had a few of them with him, and he was sat reading, really enjoys them. And he's been following us for 2 years. He's tuned into social media and stuff. And I really feel like we've become an attraction agent over the last sort of 12 to 18 months, more so than ever. And getting some really nice comments. I had somebody the other day. I did a valuation the other evening. She's not quite ready to sell, but she said, "I'm not inviting anybody else out. I just said I see you as the sort of high end agent in this area, and I won't be inviting anybody else." She was basically saying, "I want to give you that compliment. I think your stuff looks great," and that's where we're at. It's a nice problem to have. We've had to work hard and be very, very consistent with what we do to get into that fortunate position. But we're there, So I'm in a position now where I need to grow. Really, as you know, I've recently changed office. I've got a really good office here now that can accommodate more people. So I'm at that point where I'm ready to strategically grow the team and get my life back a little bit, lads, as well.
That's good, mate. That's good. So I think obviously we're collaborating on the pod this week, so we really want to try and pack the value in. We were talking the other week when we Gatesy about the TCA pod on reductions. You were saying the other week that it was good to hear from. I'm going to say, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you were right in saying that we kind of almost covered the sellers and the price reduction side of things. But then you were talking about maybe we should have a conversation on the other side in terms of the buyers and stuff.
Yeah. So I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it was a brilliant episode all around managing seller expectations. Ian, I think you touched on that in terms of how your week had been. And I thought there was some brilliant script, dialogue, et cetera, on there. But I thought it'd be really good to discuss the flip side of that is that, okay, we're having all these conversations with sellers about great marketing, pricing correctly, but we know how high stock levels are at the moment. So buyers have got so much choice. What is a conversation you guys are having with buyers on the ground? Because, let's say your average buyer is going, well, hang on a minute, I'm seeing all these price reductions. Interest rates are still not where they were a few years ago. Economy is still uncertain with everything that's going on. So how are you getting buyers to commit to buying properties with all this uncertainty out there? Because that's what I'm hearing from a lot of agents. I don't know about you guys with a complete agent, but a lot of agents going, I've got all this stock, but I've got buyers who are viewing, but they're not committing. So how are you getting buyers to commit? What's the language that you're using with them?
I was just going to say that probably starts with trying to get it priced correctly in the first place, doesn't it? That might be an obvious answer, but trying to be competitively priced from the start with it definitely helps a lot. One of the main things that I say to buyers, which I've said forever really, is I ask them to look at a long-term view. So, are they buying it as a long-term family home, which most of the homes that we sell are long-term family homes. So I always talk about how over time the market will always grow, and I always try and add a sort of sense of scarcity because, again, a lot of the ones that we sell are one-offs. So there aren't 5 Acacia Avenues in a row. Do you know what I mean? They're all a bit unique. So we try and add a bit of scarcity to it, to sort of get them to realise that if they don't go for it, they're probably not going to get that opportunity again. But I always try and get people to look at a long-term view with buyers. I don't really have much pushback once they want to offer. It's getting them to the offer stage because they're viewing so many. But as soon as they want to offer on it, I don't really have many issues with getting people to commit.
So what you said there, Ian, then, like, it sounds like so simple and obvious, but usually the best things are, right? But the way you guys bring properties to market, sneak peek, pre-launch, you're out there doing your twilight stuff. So you're creating that urgency, scarcity around the property. And it's priced correctly, you've shown the owners to price it correctly, then you're going on to sell them. Whereas I think we all know on this call, most agents, it's about speed to market rather than speed to sell. They're like, fuck yeah, just stick it on Rightmove as quick as possible to appease the owner. Rather than going, well, let's stage it over a couple of weeks to make sure we maximise the opportunity.
We had one this week that I got instructed on, then he changed his fucking mind. So it was a good one. I went to it on Tuesday evening of all times, about 7:00. The appointment went really well. It's probably 1.3. It's dated. It's lovely, old house, big plot, but it's very, very dated. Like red carpet in the hall, loads of dark wood, swaggy curtains, all this sort of stuff. So on the meeting, I said, would you like me to suggest a couple of things that I think you should do? They said, yeah, suggest whatever you want. So don't say that to me, because I gave them a list of what they should do. I said, you need to change the carpet in here. You need to take all the swag curtains, politely take all the swag curtains down. And they took it all on board. Went really, really well. Understood that that's what they needed to do to get the maximum number of viewings. I kept thinking of Elaine from our podcast last week, and what she was saying. Went really, really well. Gave me the go-ahead on the Val. Set up the WhatsApp group. Last night, got an email. Hi, Ian. Just wanted to send you a quick email to let you know we had another agent out today and we decided to go with them. Thanks for your time. I thought, fuck. So I rang them last night about 8:30. This agent had overvalued it and told them not to do anything to it. So I thought, well, I don't want it unless you're going to do anything to it and if you're pricing it correctly. So that's a good example of trying to bring on the right sort of house, because that's what would sell. If it took my advice, they would definitely sell that house. And the right
sort of client as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it starts with that side.
I think on what you said there as well, there's a really good quote I've heard recently, and it's along the lines of, Mr. Seller, if I tell you what you want to hear, it helps me. If I tell you what you need to hear, it helps you. So you've told them, you can have that one for free, Ian, don't you worry. I'm stealing it from someone else anyway. So you've told them what they need to hear, which in the long term is going to help them move home once they realise that. The other agent's probably gone in and told them what they want to hear. You don't need to change your carpets. You don't need to change your curtains. And telling the owner what they wanted to hear has won that listing for that agent in the short term.
Yeah.
And I was having lunch with someone who was who's no longer an agent anymore the other day. And he worked in a one branch independent. And without going off on a whole like panorama thing, he said that he was paid on listings as like a branch lister, and then there was like a commission at the end, and you're like, well, you're incentivized to put properties on the market. So again, if I was being incentivized and I was going out to, I don't know, 40, 50 valuations a month, if I'm being incentivized to list it, you're not really bothered if it sells or not.
Numbers game, and that's why where you come in handy for us as a business when we're in the living room and we can say, look, we employ a data analyst on a self-employed basis, and we can articulate that your average agent in the area is going to have a 48% chance of exchanging contracts and helping you move on your home. Whereas,
honestly, JK, I have that on my little sexy stat sheet, which is data was from Si and Holly designs it all. People can't believe it when you tell them that. I say, the average agent sells 50, half of what they put on. We're a bit lower than you, JK. I think we sell 80. They're like, really? So it's market data, independent property data analyst Simon Gates. I quote him on our data sheet, and people can't believe it.
People can't believe it.
But you're right in the people can't believe it because everyone thinks their home is a castle. They never want to put it on until they find somewhere because it's going to sell really quickly. Their neighbor told them that. Blah blah blah. We've all heard that shit before.
Yeah.
So when you actually say no, you've got a half a chance of selling, they're like, shit. Really did not think that. And I think back like to Purple Bricks launching whenever it was a decade ago, a dozen years ago now. If I had my time again, I would have strategically played differently, because I'd say to sellers, you're paying them like whether they sell it or not. And they would go, yeah, but they're going to sell it. And looking back, I should have gone, no, you've got half a chance of selling it. But they were paying someone, whatever it was, it's 500, 700, $1,000 up front compared to whatever my average fee was, $5-6 grand. And they're like, yeah, but I'm going to move, but you're not.
Yeah.
Half a time.
So just to cap off that buyer thing, one of the things that I say, especially like Ian said, long-term view for the generational homes, I think it's actually a Grant Cardone like anecdote that I used. That I think Perry Power years ago recommended I listen to the book by Grant Cardone, and I can't remember which one it is. It might be like called 10X or something like that. And he was selling one of his houses, his own personal houses, Grant Cardone, and
James,
he's a little bit marmite, I'd say.
Have you seen him? He's an absolute wanker. All you need to do is buy 32 rentals. Buy 32 rentals. 10x the shit out of that thing. You got 320 rentals. You're making $500 million. He's full of shit.
Dave's not spoken since introduction.
Okay.
I know. You've annoyed me with Grant Cardone.
I know. Dave,
10x the shit out of that shit.
Mate. Tell us how you feel. But anyway, the point I'm making is 95% of the book is absolute trash. But this 5%, it was basically he was selling his house and they were trying to get the top price for it. And a line that he says that I've used consistently and it's worked really well for me. I've just literally about to tie up a deal on this basis as well. On the generational homes, where they're 1 in 30-year opportunities, 1 in 25-year opportunities. They don't come up very often, but when they do, so this couple I've been negotiating with, I've said to them, look, the honest answer is you're going to overpay for this house because it's a generational opportunity. It comes up once every 25, 30 years. But what I can tell you is the owners of this house overpaid for this house. You're going to overpay for this house. And when you come to sell this house in 25, 30 years, when your children have left the home and you're looking to downsize, the buyers that you will sell it to will also overpay for your house because it's a generational home. And the guys that they nodded their head, this, that, and the other. And we've gone up nearly 100K in negotiation, best and final from where we were. And it looks like we're going to put the deal together, but it's just articulating that it's not just another estate house at 500 grand. It is a home that is going to come up again for sale in 25, 30 years. And if they want to buy it, they're going to have to pay the premium for a home that, because you can't just buy a house on half an acre that's sat in the middle of a plot, tucked away in one of the best villages in North Bedfordshire. It just don't come up.
Yeah. I think it's creating that fear of missing out. There's a little bit of creating that fear of missing out on it, isn't there, as well? The language that you use. I mean, sorry, JK, finish what you were saying then.
No, all I was going to say is that, it's the scarcity factor. If you look, if you relate it to cars, like there's like an old Sierra RS 500, it's probably going to mean anything to you guys, but Sierra Cosworth RS 500, 3-door, absolute mint car. Back in the day, you that was
in the
25,
80s,
30 grand. Whereas now, exactly, that's what I mean. The scarcity now, one just sold at auction like a few months back for $500,000. You can't just buy it, and that's how I relate. I said to the guy, I said, I don't know if you're into cars. I was like, but do you remember the RS Cosworth, the RS 500? Yeah. Well, 35, 40 grand brand new. There's one that's gone to auction at $500,000. This house is an RS 500 Cosworth. You can't just buy it. You've got to wait for it to come up.
I think you can. I think with buyers, it's difficult. I'm with Ian. Obviously, I think everything needs to be right from the outset. And you mentioned something before, Gatesy, about speed to market. Most people would think, right, we just need to photograph this house, get it on Rightmove as quick as we possibly can. More of a stat. When actually, I think a lot of the stats would show you that pre-launching and taking your time and getting everything right to get it to the market produces a much better result. This is regular, but one that really sticks out for me like a sore thumb in our business is we've just recently launched this really nice bungalow. It was at 750,000. We did a really strategic pre-launch like we do with the Facebook Live, drip feeding photographs, twilights, and then the raw sort of video reels that we do. So nothing major production, all in the local community groups. And we did 10 viewings on that house before it hit Rightmove. And a few of the people that saw it needed to sell homes. We've had a couple of cash offers already. They're a little bit below market value, or what we perceive to be market value. We've had one offer that's quite a bit over the asking price, but they need to sell. It's been a brilliant exercise. And of course, that doesn't account for even all the messages that you get from people saying, how much is that property coming onto the market, to give you great feedback on price. We then fully launched it to Rightmove. because we weren't in a position to tie up the deal. Since it went on Rightmove, it's had 3 viewings. So we had 10 in like 7 days on the back of our pre-launch. It's had 3 viewings on Rightmove, so not as many. And the conversations that we're having now are, or certainly were at the time, there was one in particular. Do you want to buy this property in huge competition when it does hit Rightmove? So as it happens, this one hasn't actually had shitloads of interest on Rightmove, but you've got a great opportunity now to steal this property almost. So JK is kind of going the other way, which is true. Once it goes to Rightmove, etc., or you're buying a generational home, you might have to pay a premium. From a vendor's point of view, from a pre-launch, they can get a premium. But from a buyer's point of view as well, do they want to buy this property in huge competition, or do they want to buy it right now, one-on-one with the homeowner, where you've probably got your best chance of securing the best price? So I think that works. I also think, like you say, putting out there the fear of losing it, quite simply, if you were to see this property, the result of this property in 3 to 6 months' time on Land Registry, you're telling me you'd pay $750 for it. Be honest with me now. If you see this at $780 in 3 months' time, 6 months' time on Land Registry, is that going to piss you off? Yeah, it might do, Dave. Right? What are we messing around for? In the grand scheme of things, 30 grand is peanuts. And are you really going to be thinking about this in 10 years' time? You won't be thinking about it in 6 months' time, 3 months' time. You won't even be thinking about it the day you complete. Let's just get the deal done. So that sort of thing, I think it's just language, really, and creating those hypothetical scenarios and getting these buyers thinking differently. But it always comes back to the same thing for me in that funnel. It comes back to, how is it listed? What is your strategy with launch?
On like loads of bits you were saying there, Dave, and you gave the seller, I would say, choice and control of, right, which buyer are we going to go with? We've got someone willing to pay the best money, but they're not in the best position to proceed. Maybe you've got people who are offering lower money, but they're in a position to proceed. Mr. Seller, what's your timescales? And what would you rather, be here in 6 months' time with no offers, or here after 6 days, 6 weeks, whatever, and choosing which offer you're going to go with? Yeah. And I'm just looking at my other screen, a couple other things to share. This is more on the seller side than the buyer side. But early offers are usually the best offers. How many times have we all sat here over the years? A house is on at £1 million, you get 975, and they go, imagine where I'll be in 6 weeks' time. Regretting you didn't take 975 is where you'll be in 6 weeks' time. And then the other bit to that is the buyer is primed, the buyer is urgent. They're often not wanting to wait for the seller to do their full campaign. Take advantage of that. Extract as much money as you can from them. I just think on the once in a generation kind of thing, but I see, James, you put a few times on socials, which I love. Behind me, that frame on the wall, Only Fools and Horses, Batman and Robin, signed by Sir David Jason, Nicholas Lyndhurst, big Only Fools and Horses fan. I went to a convention and I saw that at the start of the day. And I was like, right, I'll come back to that at the end of the day, thinking I'll get a steal at the end of the day because the guy will be packing up. And I'm like, anything you can do on the price there, mate? He went, no. And that's part of it, right? He just went, no. Oh, okay, nothing at all. No. He's like, did you see Sir David Jason say he's not getting any younger, is he? And Nicholas Lyndhurst doesn't sign anything, doesn't make public appearances. That's a very rare piece. I was like, okay, take my money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you tell him you were a cash buyer?
I was going to
immediately.
I've been thinking all the way through that I think people just need to be more firm with buyers and not scared that they're going to lose them. Like, I think that you get that as as you develop those sort of skills, as you get older, more mature, more wise, more confident with things. But I think just being more firm with buyers.
I think that all full stop though, mate.
Of course, it works both
with
ways,
sellers as well. Like the amount of times you said it earlier as well, I think, when you were talking about vals, like the other agent, are you an order taker? Are you an order maker? At the end of the day, you've gone into that other house with that client and gone, this is what you need to do to sell your house to get the best price. It's not what they want to hear, it's what they need to hear, to quote you, Si. But then the other agent's gone along and gone, nah, this is fantastic. Can we put your house on the market, please? Yeah, brilliant. Do you know what? We'll do it for under 1% as well. Oh yeah, brilliant. And then it's, what then happens is that, the seller's sitting there going, well, actually,
Yeah.
didn't know what he was going on about. So, I don't know, this other guy says it was amazing.
Yeah.
Goes on the market.
Actually, he was Scottish.
Honestly, and gay, let me tell you. It's an amazing guy, but...
The other thing that I've learnt is the power of silence.
That must be tough for you.
Dave, what are you doing? You're supposed to be silent there. When he said the power of silence, we can go like 30 seconds of...
Oh, sorry.
Everyone got the memo. I'll do it again.
It was 2 seconds.
I'll do it again. The other thing I've really learned is the power of silence. There we go.
Come on, lads.
Now, that's both with buyers and with sellers, but totally. I mean, that is, if you can really nail the confidence of being able to quote your fee or tell the buyer what they need to offer and then just say nothing.
So here's a good...
Yeah.
That's really, really
Ian,
powerful.
For your team, Dave, James, and everyone listening, have you ever played the game Eggy Boff? You ever heard of it?
I don't think so.
So I did think, as I said it, I'm with the wrong guys to say what the name of this game is. So basically, let's say you've got your morning meeting, and let's say Aidan is going to be the last one into the office. You say to everyone else, right, guys, we're going to completely ignore Aidan today. And the first one to speak buys everyone lunch. That is like the whole Eggy Boff thing. So it'd be like, let's say you're on a night out with your mates, and it's like, right, the first one to get out of the taxi has to buy a bottle of champagne in the club.
Okay.
So you're all sat there in the taxi, and the taxi driver's like, are you going to get out my taxi? No. Imagine like doing that and seeing like, that's going to show the power of silence, who can actually do it. And someone's going to go, oh no, I feel really awkward. Right. If you're the first to fold and feel awkward, are you going to do that with a buyer and or seller on that? So that was just a random thing from me, as you'd expect. The other thing I just want to share as well, this will mean nothing to Ian, and you can't really see it, but I've got a signed Virgil van Dijk shirt over my shoulder. And I can't remember who commented on it or if it was a private message, but it says Virgil on the back, and someone said the last letter on the shirt is spelt wrong with your picture next to it. I was like, cheers for that, guys. But the reason I'm sharing that is I got that at charity lunch. I paid a lot of money for it, actually contributed to charity, not the only one, Ian. Just put that out there. And what they did was they told everyone to stand up, and they said, stay standing if you pay £100 for this shirt. And it just kept going, stay standing, stay standing, stay standing. And it got to a pretty decent amount. There was like 5, not quite. And there was 5 people left. And it was like, well, there's only 3 shirts. But it's like, if we can get Virgil to sign a couple more because he supports his charity, would all 5 of you standing up be prepared to pay X for a shirt? And I was quite pissed as well at the time. And I was like, go on then. But the way they did it, I've been to other auctions where someone goes, right, we'll start the bidding at 500 quid. And it's absolute silence. No one offers. And then they go, all right, we'll start at 50 quid then. And then it works its way up. And then they do the exact same thing. Something else comes out and they go, right, we'll start the bidding at 500. It's like, have you not learnt your lesson? Like, we've already had something similar at 500. It didn't work. So again, it's that whole price to entice, create buyer attention, drive the price up, etc. But
it really is a great analogy to get across to your homeowners. And I think you were saying before as well, does it mean that I think you've got to be a bit firmer these days. I really do. I mean, I've started saying to people, we genuinely need to get real now. We're not in the same market as we have been. I've been saying for a while now, my honest view is that this market right now has the feel of a recession recovery market almost. And again,
Dave, Jesus Christ.
So again,
so that's depressing.
I know it is, but it's true. It's not, again, just to clarify my comments, I know we're not in a recession, but the bounce back from the recession when we had it in 2007 was probably more around 2010, 11 when things started to really shift again. I think it was, we had some serious interest rate drops and it was that acceptance that property prices weren't what they were. And we had serious success back then with offers over, which I know is a bit more common these days, but at the time, it was getting homeowners into a completely different mindset. I'm a massive believer in, I don't think a homeowner knows what they'll take until that it's actually real. And if you can get a vendor to understand that the asking price is just an asking price, they don't have to say yes to it. It's designed to get people through the door.
Do you know what, Dave? I literally said, I've said that 2 or 3 times to different clients this week, that you don't have to accept any offer that you get, and they all of them said,
like everyone, don't they? It's like, but I don't want to accept that offer. Okay, that's fine. Like, you don't. You
Yeah.
don't need to.
No, we don't.
The other one,
Yeah.
We just want some offers, John. We want some offers to work with, John.
guess what, John? If they
Get rid
won't
of
pay you what you want,
Yeah.
what does that tell you?
Yeah. And we all know that John, example 1.25 house, John wants 1.27. Dave offers 1.3 after 6 months.
Yeah.
He's probably going to accept 1.24, 1.25, isn't
And
he?
the hypothetical
So
scenarios
getting it
as
on
well,
at that price, Jesus.
I know you
My
want
God, it's never
1.7,
more
but
important.
serious question now. If I had 1.5 on the table tomorrow cash, are you taking it? No. 1.55, no. 1.6, right. Well, you want 1.7 30 seconds ago, John. So let's have a look at the strategy here. Let's get you sold. Let's get you under offer. Let's give you a decision to make at the very.
And it's delivering that with confidence and enthusiasm, looking them straight in the eyes.
And authority.
And authority, yeah.
I put it on our group last night, but I always say to homeowners, if you gave me the keys to your house and went away for 6 months, and we agreed a range in which we think that your property sells and sits, and you let me do what I want, and you didn't know what I'd done when I came to you with this offer, what I would have done is offers over X. So that's all. So if you didn't know what I'd done and I was coming to you with offers that are acceptable to you, are you bothered how I get there?
Yeah.
Honestly. So it's just getting people to think in a different way. And some people you'll never be able to convince. But it's use your experience. We've done this job for 20 years plus. We know what works.
Can I ask a really serious question now? How many episodes roughly have you done?
76.
This
I think.
John guy,
77.
he is propping up like the economy, isn't he? The amount of houses he's sold over the years.
Always John.
Just my very bad joke aside, on something sort of you were sharing there, Dave, on if the seller went away for 6 months. I really love that. And I will be stealing it later today. If you imagine someone who bought a property in 2020 and got a 5-year fixed rate and they went into a coma on the day of completion, keys handed over, they go into a coma, they bought for £1 million. They wake up 5 years later and it's like, this is how much your mortgage is going to cost today. But they've actually woken up from that coma and gone, oh shit, actually, I forgot that my missus was expecting triplets. So we've now got 3 5-year-olds running around the house. We need a bigger house and I need to buy somewhere at 1.5 million. Okay, so you're not all of a sudden servicing the £1 million property at an increased interest rate. You're now having to borrow another few £100,000 at a higher interest rate. I think a lot of sellers not appreciating, again, the high stock level market we're in, higher interest rates. So I think to service a mortgage today compared to 5 years ago is probably 60% more expensive.
Yeah.
And with the way the interest rate environment is, it probably has reduced buying power by 20 to 30%, although buying power has returned a little bit with the easing on stress testing recently. But I think, again, if you've got any sellers out there in the market now who bought in 2021, first half of 22, it's like you're not selling in the same market you were buying in. The market you were buying in, record low interest rates, buyers driving prices up. There was no houses to and the stamp duty holiday, whereas now
SDLT holiday,
you got lower buyer demand, let's say, less money in their back pocket, and they've got a hell of a lot more choice, and they don't have the benefit of the stamp duty. And it was quite interesting actually when I did a podcast recently with Josh Fegan, just to name drop that, he made a very interesting point around why do people not spend more money when interest rates go lower. So, for example, I went into a 2-year fixed rate in autumn 23, horrific time to be remortgaging, particularly when you set up a new business. And you think if I come off my 2-year fixed rate in a few months, fantastic, my mortgage is going to be cheaper. Surely I'm going to go out and start spending more money. Or is it actually no, I'm going to be relieved that I'm not as stressed about the amount of money it's costing my mortgage each month, if that makes sense. And I think like some of the things we've been going through and what you guys say every week, I'm just going to share something from my other screen. I think I put this on my Instagram story the other day. And this is something really, really key for the listeners is most agents know what's happening. Good agents understand what's happening. Only the great agents can explain what's happening.
Yeah,
I think that's why you guys get the results you do, and the way your quarterly off-market letters. You are explaining what's happening. I ask a lot of agents, "How's the market?" and they'll go, "Yeah, good, busy." If anyone listening to this goes, yeah, that's me, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Like, they expect you to say that. If someone says, how's the market? You need to have a definitive response to that. Obviously, the first one is, that depends, John. Are you buying or selling? We've all heard that before, and then there's a different answer. But depending on what John says, buying or selling, you then need to have a narrative. Like each Monday morning meeting, it should be, guys, when the shopkeeper says to us, how's the market this week? What's our answer this week?
One thing that I find really powerful, Si, is our 6 weekly market update videos in line with the Rightmove HPI. So we record a 6 weekly market update video, normally in a different cafe, either in Tarpley or Northwich, every 6 weeks. Scott films it, looks amazing. Me and Phil have a chat, only takes 15 minutes. And we bang the Rightmove HPI into ChatGPT, get it to give us a script. The two of us sit down, film it, take 15, 20 minutes. Scott edits it, looks amazing. So that not only goes out on our socials, on our monthly newsletter through Street, but it also gets sent as a little video on WhatsApp to all of our clients who haven't sold. And that is going down really, really well. So the last one we did, where we were talking about 11% more listings on the market, but only 3% more buyers in the market. I think that was the last HPI, not this one, the last one. The amount of clients who've watched that video were like, oh God, thanks, that's really, really insightful. So talking about things to do to stop your clients leaving you, those sort of videos are so powerful, because they don't know that data, client. They don't know it, do they?
Well, I was just going to say a couple of things on what you said there. I love that you do that. And, there's so many sources. We don't have an excuse for in this industry, whether it's Rightmove, Zoopla, Nationwide, Halifax, Bank of England meet next week, I think, to discuss the base rate, probably going to drop to 4%. Great. That's something to be sharing. Good news, sellers, like there's going to be increased activity. However, most people are on a fixed rate, so it doesn't mean they're going to have extra money, but it just increased sentiment and positivity in the market. I think it was 2 days ago, the latest mortgage approval data came out. So I'm just going to quickly share that on my other screen. So net mortgage approvals for house purchases increased by 900 in the month of June to 64,200. And remortgaging went up to 41,800. That was the highest number of remortgage approvals since October 2022. And then mortgage approvals for house purchases were 1.9% up month on month, 7% year on year, 2.6 on the 10-year June average, and at only 0.81% down on the 12-month average. If you're speaking to sellers and they're like, hey, market's a bit shit, isn't it? Is it? Mortgage approval is actually pretty stable. Our marketing is good. And I love what you guys say every week. Are you happy with the presentation of your home? Yes. Are you happy with the promotion? Yes. Are you happy with us as a person? Yes. Well, John, it's got to be the price. But too many agents go straight into, we need to reduce the price, but they're not doing a post-mortem of, is the presentation shit? Is the promotion shit? And as a person, as the agent, am I actually doing enough? And at the time of recording now, I think any second, so we're recording this 31st of July, the HMRC completed transaction data will come out for June. Again, you'll be able to say, look, what are completion levels like a few months on from the stamp duty changing at the end of March, whenever it was. So that will show, is there still confidence in the markets? There's no excuse. There's so much data out there to be relaying to the market.
That can make the difference, though, when you're in the vals. Like, I know, obviously, we teach TCA members how we do the data loft val, which is obviously Dave's thing. As that has iteratively got better, I find it so easy to just win everything I go to now, because when someone says explain the market, it's not, or talk to me, how is the market? It's not, it's good. Let's talk about January 2020 to the peak of the market, whenever that is on the graph. Let's see how much things have gone up for. Well, how things have gone up because of X, Y, and Z, SDLT holiday, cheaper interest rates. But in this half here, depending on what you're looking at in the graph, there's certain little sort of hypermarkets in different areas. But most graphs after Trust and Kwarteng, the mini budget, when interest rates started to rocket, you do see a different trajectory in the graph as time goes on. And it's about articulating interest rates, cost of living, and things like aggregated inflation from sort of 2020 to now, because people look at the BOE or website, or they'll look at they'll get an email from the Times and they'll say, inflation down to 2.4%, inflation down 2.2%. Oh, that's brilliant, that's great news. But what they're not, it's 2% of something that's already gone up 26%. So you're not talking about the whole picture. Back in 2022 or 2021, we're all paying 8 pence or 10 pence per kilowatt for electricity in the house, whereas the average household now is paying nearly 30p. Obviously, you can get the off-rate peaks through different energy suppliers if you've got an EV and things like that. But it's just everything in general that's gone up. And Dave articulated it brilliantly in I think one of our, maybe it was a podcast or maybe the one of the masterminds, that it's cost for acquisition that's gone up. And when you frame that to the person that you're in front of and you're saying, well, look, this is what the market's doing, this is why. And you contextualize it in this part here. If somebody's buying your house with a £500,000 mortgage, it's costing them in this part of the graph, so 2020 to 2022, 500k is costing them £1,800, £1,900, maybe £2,000 a month over 25 years. But in this section here, it's costing them £5,000. As you just said, Si, as well, they've now got 2 kids from 2020 to 2025. There was a baby boom in COVID. There's another mouth to feed. Interest rates have doubled, if not tripled in some cases. Aggregate inflation's at 30%. Going to Marks and Spencer's and getting your shopping in 2020 for £100, you were filling up 5 bags. Now you're filling up 2.5. Everything is more expensive, and there are more sellers in the market than there are buyers. And all things being equal, you're always going to choose on price, which is why it's really important to get your home on the market at a competitive price so we can maximize the value, because we need to, do you want to be on top of the market or do you want to be in the market? And I think it was Tom Panos that you were speaking to, so on your podcast as well, plug, you've had 2 great guests. The thing he was saying about, do you want to be on top of the market or do you want to be in the market? And they were like, they're using your house as a benchmark to sell their other houses if you're on top of the market. And I had this conversation with a seller of ours recently, about 4 weeks ago. And I said to her, at the moment, everyone in that particular location is going, well, your house is up at 950. Everyone else is selling theirs for 900 and going, that ours is great value. Then when theirs came down to 9, bosh, sold in literally like 10 days. So it's just having, again, authority to speak to people and confidence, being able to articulate the numbers. So because the thing is, it's all about coming across as the expert. And if you can come across as the expert, you can come across authoritative and people will listen to you. You an order taker, are you an order maker? And sometimes you have to, like Ian said earlier in the pod, you have to, be willing to let people go. And it all comes back to, if you're consistently prospecting all year round, whether you're quiet or you're busy, when you're busy is when you really do need to prospect, because, in those times where you could be quote unquote quiet, you're still going to be busy because you've been doing the work that other people have been putting off.
On that prospecting side of things, so I'm pretty sure I'm not stealing this. This was a line unique to me, which is prospect whilst you prosper. Agents prospect when their pipeline is depleted. You want to put your foot on the accelerator when you do not need to prospect. And not have that kind of roller coaster on it. In terms of, you very kindly name dropped Tom Panos and then did a South African accent, which but just one other name drop, I think, in terms of some of the stuff we've talked about in like buyer decision and like buyer remorse. Some really good language that Phil M. Jones used on my podcast, so I definitely recommend that one. And whilst there's been 3 name drops there, 2 admittedly from me, the pinnacle for me will be the day when Ian Storey does come on my podcast. That would be the big name drop. He is booked in. You are booked in if he does turn up this time and not go on holiday. So just I'll put that there. But a couple of things I just want to quickly share. I put this on my Instagram story the other day, and it's so relevant to James, one of the last things you said. So summer arrives and something predictable happens. Marketing budgets get slashed. Content calendars go dark. Follow-up stops. Here's the thing. Your competition just handed you their market share. The leads you generate today become the completions that fund your December. How long the conveyancing process takes in this country, maybe it's going to be January or February 2026. But the marketing you stop today shows up as missed opportunities 60 to 90 days from now. What will Christmas look like if you double down right now? That's your choice to make. Yeah. And I think the last thing, just on the... Okay,
so you've got a closing tradition, Si, on your podcast.
Yeah, I don't think I've got time for that. But I was just going to say very quickly on the buyer side of things, I've been eagerly wanting to share this the whole time. So I'm just going to randomly put it into conversation now. So some really good language for everyone listening when you're speaking to buyers. So buyers who are hesitating because they're waiting for the market to crash or interest rates to come down or whatever. So first point, if you buy now and mortgage rates do not change, you made a good move, since home prices are always projected to grow over time. So at least you beat rising prices. Ian, I think you touched
that's good.
long term. If you buy now and interest rates do fall, as they are projected to do marginally, you probably still made a good decision, because if you get the house before home prices do appreciate more, you can always refinance your home later on when rates are lower. And I know it's really cringy, but what's the saying? Date the rate, marry the home.
Yeah.
Very American. And then the last one is, if you buy now and mortgage rates actually rise, if that does happen, you made a great decision because you bought before both the price of the home and the mortgage rate went up.
Yeah.
Like those 3 points there support like buyer action. So again, if we can remember as agents speaking with the public, those 3 points, if a buyer says, oh yeah, but the market this, the market that, don't wait to buy property, buy property.
Can I just say one more thing as well? Like, again, don't sue my ass if you can't keep up your mortgage repayments, and your home may be possessed if you do not keep up payments on your mortgage. I helped a friend of mine recently with moving affordability wise. He's in a situation at the moment where he's going to be in a really good financial position in the next 5 to 6 years. He needs to move, but at the moment he can afford it, but the banks don't say he can afford it. So one of the things that he's doing now that I heard of recently is that you have to hit certain criteria. So you have to speak to a broker about this, but you can do a mortgage on part interest and part repayment. And what it did was it enabled him to borrow another 250k than he could previously. And it was because he was really stuck, because he overbought in 2022 and his price has actually gone down. So he's spent 50k on the house. Don't ask, like, he's about 80 grand worse off than he should be, because I didn't know him then. And he's desperate to move because he's running out of space, got 2 kids. And at the moment, he's trying to get that extra space for 100 grand, but it's not happening. He really needs another 250k. And he came up to me the other day, because we play football. And he came up to me the other day, he goes, mate, after speaking to that mortgage advisor, he goes, I can now borrow up to X. My buy-to-lets in a couple of years, I can sell one of those, chop that in, and we can move. It's going to get me out of a hole. So it's just thank you for that. And it's something that nobody else had ever spoken to him about. He had no idea anything about, and it was just another way of getting him into the next house that he needs to now. And he's got the vehicle and the means in a couple of years' time to be able to repay that. And again, as you just said, Simon, the prices will rise inevitably, whether that's by 1% this year, 2% this year, but aggregated over the next 3 to 5 years. How much is that property going to appreciate? He's going to be able to refinance and, more importantly, move on to the next chapter of his life. So, yeah, just wanted to throw that in there. So, anything else before we close off the pod, gents?
No, some good golden.
I'm going to do a selfless plug here, actually, for you guys, for anyone listening. If you're not in like the Complete Agent Facebook group, join it. As long as these guys let you in. Listen to the podcast if you're not already listening to it, if you're on my channel. And also reach out to guys about their masterminds. I know a lot of agents who are in the mastermind. They say wonderful things about it. And I've been fortunate enough to speak at one of your masterminds, and it was brilliant. The kind of energy in the room and innovation and agents who want to do better. So just thought I'd say that. And then selfishly for me, if you're still listening, haven't fallen asleep, make sure both podcasts like, review, subscribe, share, and all that jazz.
Cheers, mate. I really appreciate it. And obviously, ditto. You've been great for us, and it's great to share some of your wisdom with our listeners. And you've obviously presented the mastermind. I think are you with us again as well in September, Si?
Yeah, I didn't know if you and Ian knew that, so I didn't want to say.
We did. Yeah, so you're with us again in September.
Milton Keynes as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's
Ian and Dave have both got massive nosebleeds because they've had to move out of Cheshire for a day. But there we go. Right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Maybe we should do a part 2 another time, because I feel like we could probably talk for another 2 hours on agency. But thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you next week.
Cheers, guys.
Right.